Welcome to When Women Preach. This podcast exists to empower API and Latina women faith leaders. My name's Diana Shing, and I'm here with co-founder and executive director Isaac Young Lee Hertig, and our guest for today is Russell Moy. Russell Moy is Isaac's board chair. He was born and raised in Detroit, and as a third-generation Chinese and Korean American. He was pastor of the First Chinese Baptist Church in Sacramento. He taught Christian education and Bible at Drew University in New Jersey and the Graduate of Theological Union in Berkeley. He discovered his passion for wine while working at Trader Joe's. He was a wine host at grocery stores, a winery, and wine bars. Besides wine, he is avidly interested in biblical studies, archaeology, and World War II. He's been married for 46 years and has 2 young adult sons. So welcome, Russell. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
So, Russell, it's been a long time. You and I co-conspired working on Isaac and in Isaac. So I thank you for our long-term friendship. We want to honor your mother, late mother, who was full-blown Korean.
Right.
But know much about Korean culture because she was born in Detroit.
Yes.
And I remember her amazing smile coming through Zoom meeting. Her smile was contagious and gorgeous. So take us to the path, how your mother, who she is and how she impacted you.
Well, I was closer to my mom than my dad, and she was an extrovert like I am. When I was growing up, she worked as a school teacher and librarian, and we had her mom, my Korean grandma, live with us to help take care of me and my younger sister.
Talk about your grandmother. You come from an amazing Korean lineage of admirals and independent movement leaders. So let's visit your grandmother a little bit so that we can paint the context from where your mother came from and where you came from.
Yes, I only discovered my grandmother's Korean heritage in the last few years because my mom, unfortunately, did not share much about her mother's life. And it's only recently that I found out that she was a Korean patriot. She was very active in the Korean independence movement when they were under the occupation of Japan. And so she and her husband were on the finance committee of the Provisional Government of Korea in Shanghai. She was also involved in the Korean Red Cross. And a few years ago when Korea celebrated the centennial of the independence movement, I and about a dozen of my family went to Korea to represent my mom or my grandma. And we found her pictures in 3 museums. And we also were honored at a large gathering, and we stood up. And we also were able to go to my great-grandfather's village, and they rolled out the red carpet for us. And so those were the 2 highlights of our reunion tour with my relatives.
I'm so excited that you are claiming your Korean heritage. Has been, shadowed by your Chinese American heritage.
Right.
What are some of the keen memories do you have about Dorothy May, your mother?
Dorothy Moy.
Dorothy Moy. Mm-hmm.
She was always working, as I said, as a teacher and librarian. She loved to cook. She was very famous for cooking desserts at family gatherings, but not Korean food.
I see. So I came along and I had to help you discover your
Yeah.
Korean taste bud.
Yes, my neglected Korean heritage, or my hidden heritage.
Hidden heritage.
Yeah.
So, you know, our lineage is really important, and rediscovering or discovering your hidden heritage, I think, means a lot. It'll really fuel you to own that amazing leadership heritage that you have in Korean side.
Yeah.
For example, your grandmother was the first class of world largest women's university in Seoul.
That's right.
So no wonder your mother also has how many master's degree?
I think she has 2 masters and 1 specialist degree. A specialist degree is in between a master's and a doctorate.
So she taught elementary school children?
She started as a reading specialist, and then she went to library school and became a librarian. And I went to the school where she was the librarian, and she was able to transform the library into a media center, which was quite pioneering back in her days.
So she had a foresight.
Yep. So, but yeah, she was a great mom, and I just wish she taught me more about my Korean heritage through my Korean grandmother.
So I'll be some kind of a liaison in your claiming and understanding Korean heritage. And I remember looking through one of the book that describe your great grandfather. And
that was a very startling discovery that I found out because an academician wrote a 500-page biography of my great grandfather, and found out that he, like a million other Koreans during the occupation of Korea, migrated to Vladivostok in Russia and started a Korean culture and language school for the expats. He was very involved in the independence movement, was very angry that they were so provincial and divided, so angry that he was going to kill himself and commit political suicide. Unfortunately, when he was trying to kill himself, the gun went off and it killed his friend. And so when he went to his friend's funeral, he was killed by an axe murderer, literally. I never knew that until just recently, reading the short English summary of this of his biography.
wow, what
So
a dramatic. Have come from like a lot of K-drama, and your own family lineage could make another Korean drama series. Wow.
Yeah.
So we honor your mother who came from such rich background. And what part of you do you resemble your mother and would love to see transmitting that DNA?
She loved books. That's why she's a librarian, and she thought I should be a librarian, which turned out I should have been. So she was right. The other thing is she taught me about the importance of family. Family gatherings are very important, and the love of cooking and travel. We always took family vacations together, and we were a skiing family, so we took ski vacations to Vermont and Colorado during our holiday breaks. through her, I have the blood of the most famous Korean admiral, the John Paul Jones of Korea.
Shing.
Thank you for giving me for the name, and also royalty. I heard a story that it was my grandparents or great grandparents helped rescue the prince from the Japanese, which was why they wrote a biography about my great grandfather.
Wow.
So
That's
so
biography.
yeah. So as I said, my mom never shared this. I had to learn it through going to Korea on this reunion tour, and so it was. So my Korean heritage is no longer neglected nor hidden, and also thanks to you, Young, for helping me rediscover it.
You know, talking about rediscovering heritage and neglected heritage, Isaac exists to really transmit and translate and transcribe so that you don't have to go roundabout way by accident to find out about your not so distant ancestry. And
Yeah. Well, the other thing about my mom, she was very devout Christian, and through her mom, through my Korean grandma, very devout, very strict. And so my Korean grandmother was literally jumping for joy when I told her I wanted to become a minister. So that's why I wanted to start a memorial fund in my mom's name, because for deep Christian roots and spirituality. And I just think it'd be a wonderful way for her to through this fund to enable and to support Asian American women in ministry.
awesome, Russell. That speech came right out of Isaac's co-founder and board chair, and we have a lot more to do on that part. So I look forward to partnering more intentionally in making that mission a reality.
Yeah.
Translating and connecting your ancestry to Isaac in Asian American context. Can you share some? You are such an avid reader. I have never met anybody finished teaching and preaching, still reads commentary
Yeah.
and just deep passion for archaeology. And he's going to Greece again to visit all those early church sites.
Yeah.
Tell us and share with us how that translates to Isaac's mission.
Oh, I just want to share Isaac's vision of transcribing my heritage, and that is why I think this memorial fund would be really honoring my mom to pass down her Korean heritage to the new generation. So that's why I thought it'd be wonderful to have this fund under Isaac's umbrella.
Thank you, Russell. And another aspect is your female side. In those days, they were avant-garde and they were leaders, and especially your grandmother serving finance committee towards independent movement in Shanghai as a woman.
Right.
Do you have more?
Yes. I forgot to mention, she was in the first graduating class of the Korean Women's University, Ewha.
Yeah.
So she graduated in 1914, and I think she was valedictorian. There was only, I think, four other students in her class. And when I went to visit Iwa, they were trying to find out what she did after she graduated, and they think she was a teacher. So I got that in my DNA, teaching.
Teaching, and then was it your grandmother or great grandmother who was serving on business financial committee?
That was my grandmother.
Wow.
And the other thing is, because of both my Korean grandparents being so involved, they were buried in Detroit, and the government sent a color guard to take their remains and rebury them in the Taejeon Cemetery in Korea, which is like their Arlington Cemetery, where all the famous generals and kings were buried. And because both were so involved, they each had their own a tomb. They weren't buried together. They were in separate plots next to each other. And they got some kind of medal, some order of merit for their dedication and work. In fact, my Korean grandfather came to America to study military science, so he could go back and help Korea. And that's why he ended up at the University of Nebraska, and he was probably the first Korean graduate there. But he never made it back to Korea. And he formed a company in Detroit to produce Asian vegetables like tofu and bok choy and bean sprouts to supply restaurants and stores. And I just found out he and his partners raised $30,000. This is in the 1920s, so that was a lot of money. And my grandmother was probably one of the first Korean businesswomen, because she had a flower shop. And I remember visiting her there. So both were Korean graduates, of college. So that was quite a precedent back in the 20s.
So you come from a very learned, business-savvy heritage, and you find this out rather later in your life. Oh, let's imagine a little bit here. If you would have been intentionally understood, and if your parents transmitted such legacies to you, what kind of difference do you think it have made?
I probably would have done more research in Korean history and Korean American history. I probably would have maybe gone to Korea earlier. And when we did go there for the reunion trip with my relatives, I did find out I had a second cousin there who really was helpful. And so that deepened my Korean roots and heritage to have a second cousin that still lives there.
Wow. So doesn't it really kind of make you proud that you came from such extraordinary, lineage?
Yeah.
I'm imagining how that would have really made you proud and anchor you with the deeper roots.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would have provided you some different kind of outlook in life.
Yeah, it's what if. And with Korean royalty and an admiral's blood running through me, through my grandma, yeah, I definitely would have studied Korean history and culture more, and especially now with the popularity of K-pop and K-drama, Korea is really taking over the world, and it's great that my roots in Korea run very deep. Because the other thing is, when we did visit my great grandfather's village, about an hour or two outside of Seoul, we went to the shrine, and we went to the first generation of his family, and that he was royalty. He had some position in the Korean court.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, yeah, I wish my mom told me more about this. My Korean heritage would not have been hidden nor neglected if I knew that.
Yeah, and you never got to ask her why she didn't transmit that rich heritage.
Right. Well, it was through her older sister, my oldest aunt, that she did a lot of the family research into our history. And so I have to thank her, because my mom had 3 sisters, no brothers, and they all were very, they all went to the University of Michigan. Go Blue! And I'm proud to also be an alum. But my oldest aunt was a psychiatrist. My next oldest aunt was a geologist, and my youngest aunt was a pharmacist. So to be college educated back in those days was, I think, quite unusual and very progressive.
Yeah, normally. And you're gonna reunite with your aunt in Hawaii soon.
That's right.
That's the one who's a pharmacist?
Yes, correct.
And how old is she?
Oh, gosh. She must be in her 80s, because my mom passed away when she was almost 97. So probably the mid to late 80s.
Well, longevity is in your DNA.
I hope so.
Also, we have a lot to do in reclaiming your family lineage who lived outside the cultural norm.
Yeah.
And grandmother and great-grandmother and your mother. So that lineage of yours also is deeply connected to what Isaac is doing in 2024.
Well, I just realized, for my grandparents to encourage and support all 4 daughters to go to college back in the 20s.
Usual.
Very unusual, very progressive. And that's why I just realized the link between my Korean grandparents encouraging their daughters to go to college, especially Michigan, and then for Isaac to empower and support Asian American women in ministry. I see a direct connection between my Korean great grandparents and Isaac's mission for Asian American women. I just realized that. So I'm continuing that legacy of supporting women in ministry.
All right, you're fired up. I know you will be sharing this podcast and have a watch party. And for those of you in, Moy's circle and clan, claiming this identity, heritage,
Yeah.
help us to really withstand when there's, curveballs in our life.
Right.
And it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And owning that part, buried memories and buried heritage that runs through you. So you've got royal blood and admiral blood and business savvy, serving grandmother. And we need all those 3, Russ, for us to really look forward to carving out Isaac 2.0, sustainable and transferable mission. And we have a lot more work to be done.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I don't think we can really foresee the future with what kind of leadership skill sets that brought us to this far. At the same time, in order for us to imagine sustainable, transferable Isaac 2.0, we constantly need to evolve and learn new leadership skill sets. And we'll have to translate what we already know into this age of open AI and rapidly changing world.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you were here. And I'm so glad that we are co-pilots of Isaac. And may God give us health and ongoing energy. And Diana, do you have anything else to add?
Oh, it's such an honor to hear this, just such a rich lineage. And we at Isaac are so honored to be able to remember your mom and have this fund. And I myself am in Pastoral Lab and feeling being empowered as a woman who feels called to do ministry. And so thank you both. And just thank you for this opportunity we have. And we just know that your mom is smiling down and just honored by this. So
on top of this, she's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Her smile.
Yeah. Contagious. Anything else to add?
Yeah, let me, I just want to thank you, Young, for being my Korean surrogate sister and helping me rediscover my hidden Korean heritage. And I just again want to note my realization just now of how my Korean grandparents supported their 4 daughters to go to college. And for now, my mom, her memorial fund to also encourage women in ministry. So there's a direct Korean link between my Korean grandparents and Isaac's cohorts.
Thank you, Russell. And I think you're fueling Isaac's Pastoral Lab ministry will really come into fruition, and women's lives are being transformed in the cohort. It is my greatest joy. So let's continue our partnership together and imagine something that your Korean side of the ancestors imagine against all the odds and courageously step out of the comfort zone and forge ahead in spite of risks and danger. So for that, I thank you, and I have renowned appreciation for you, Russ.
Yeah. Well, I think my Korean grandparents and my mom are smiling down from heaven on Isaac.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to When Women Preach. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and like us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much.